one of the challenges that we're seeing is the greenwashing component.
Mm-hmm.
Over the last 5, 6, 7 years, like every company has come on sustainability and what they want to do, and green buildings this and green buildings that, and we're the leaders when it comes to sustainability. But there's a little bit happening within government now, where they're beginning to fine companies if they are greenwashing. You see it a lot in other industries, like the apparel industry, the fashion industry. We all see and can see from YouTube and the clips online about how great or not great it is. But the same thing is happening in construction as well. What have you experienced within Zero and the?
So this is really well timed, because actually our own podcast, Zero Carbon Construction, we did an episode a couple of weeks ago on this exact topic. Yeah. So someone went to an innovation show in London, and it was just awful. Like, really? They posted, basically this gentleman posted a picture on LinkedIn, his ticket torn in half.
Oh yeah,
a long sentence. That. Yeah. So we grabbed him and interviewed him.
Yeah.
And was like, okay, why is this happening? I think in construction right now, you can basically get a go away of greenwashing because it goes back to what we've been discussing. Where's the checks and balances, the accountability, and the measurement?
Yeah.
Right. In other industries, apparel is a good one. They've been measuring kind of like the amount of wastewater and kind of the amount of materials you use, kind of treatment of people as well. Like labor, let's not forget that like sustainability is not just about carbon, it's also about people and welfare.
That's your S there, in your ESG. Yeah.
So I think in construction, I think right now people can basically get away with it. Oh, this building is zero carbon.
Yeah.
It's like, but you knocked down a building.
Yeah.
So what happened to the building you knocked down? And what happened to all that embodied carbon?
Yeah.
Did you just stick it in the bin?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure your zero carbon building, that means that your new building that you've just built has to have negative carbon.
Negative carbon. And it has to be there. What's its end of life? So what happens at the end of this? So does everything have here be recycled and repurposed and reused? Doubted very much, because certain components there has to be a waste factor. So
absolutely. Yeah.
So zero carbon.
Yeah. So right now, I think anybody claiming kind of a zero carbon building, I straight away look at it and just go, I don't understand what that even means. Yeah. I mean, we know for a fact that there's like 140 different definitions of what zero carbon even means globally, in terms of measuring, which is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
So, but the problem is that there's two ways that you can look at it. You could look at it from the greenwashing perspective, which is just like, well, that's rubbish.
Yeah.
And you can go and pick it apart and question it. The other way to look at it is go, okay, you've tried to do something, and you've tried to make it as sustainable as possible. Yeah. So 2 massive thumbs up.
Well done, yeah.
But let's not exaggerate where we are and call it zero carbon.
Yeah.
So let's take that little bit of greenwashing element away from it, and actually celebrate what you have achieved if we measure it in a sensible way. Yeah. Because the problem is that it just kind of muddies the kind of the terminology, and you get this, even the word sustainability as a word of meaning.
Yeah.
I mean,
becomes diluted.
It becomes diluted. I mean, and literal dilution. I was on a plane, not very sustainable, sorry, on a plane the other day, and on the back of the in-flight menu was sustainable sips. Yeah. I thought, oh, for God's sake, like it just completely devalues the word, right? So I think we also need to be braver and stand up and as an industry together, and we do it as part of Zero in the politest way possible.
Yeah.
And go, no, that's not. How can that be zero carbon? It's just it's not possible.
There's 2 aspects to it. I think, as you mentioned, giving the thumbs up and looking at the positivity is one thing. Maybe part of the promotion of that particular organization and building, etc., wasn't really understood, and net zero, maybe within the calculations that and the strategy they approach, they have achieved that. Like, for example, when we consider Denmark and the calculation of LCA, we don't take it into account end of life here and certain components within this the B calculation, which I believe fair enough. That's the strategy we have right now, but it's going to come where it's whole life cycle carbon that we're looking at here, and it's a starting point. But I do agree that we have to put our hand up and then call companies out, or even query and question how they came to their understanding that it's net zero, and having that strategy. You can see it in the industry. A lot of companies have this net zero by 2030 strategy. What's your baseline where are you starting from? What is your real impact? One of the conferences we were at a while back, a company was talking about, how they're improving their systems. They're going alternative fuel vehicles, for example. And I put my hand up and I asked them, well, what about your built assets? Have you calculated your built assets? What about your future expansion? What about your future retrofit? Have you looked at that? And he said, no, we haven't touched that yet. That's a little bit complicated. I said, well, changing out some of your vehicles for alternative fuels, I think that's a bit of greenwashing. Again, two thumbs up for doing it.
Better than nothing.
Yeah. But the big picture stuff is completely different to what this looks like.
But I think the issue is that the big picture is so complicated, and not enough people really
understand it.
Really, because it is complicated.
Yeah.
We went through a process in Xero for a short time where there was a lot of finger pointing as a community, and we realized very, very quickly that's not very helpful.
No.
The purpose really is, as a community, and I think as an industry, is as you just said. Okay, so you've done that thing, that's good. What are you going to do next? And this goes back to the roadmap thing. Like, you've got this big target, 2030, 2050, whenever it is. The reason those targets are down there is because we know it's going to take a while.
Yeah.
So claiming already now in 2024, 2023 that you're already at zero carbon, it's kind of like going, oh, well, cool, well done. So no changes for you over the next few years then.
Yeah.
It's like, no, but there are so many steps you need to take. So if you change your vehicles, fantastic, great. What's the next thing you can do? And the next, and the next, and and it's those little kind of things along the way. I think the other big challenge as well, and we were talking about this at DCW again as well. And again, this is not to point fingers, but if you look at the green building standards we have, the big global ones like BREEAM and LEED, the platinum level, the highest score you can get, still a carbon producing building.
Yeah. That's right.
They had a great catalyst at making the industry think about carbon.
Yeah.
So they did exactly what they were supposed to do. But maybe we should look at it and go, do you know what? The highest level should be almost impossible to achieve right now, which could be negative carbon, let's say.
Yeah.
I don't even know how that would be possible necessarily for a building, but really putting in some really robust, really ambitious targets for an industry and going, that's where you need to go. It's not possible today. Yeah. How are you going to get there?
Yeah, we've spoken a bit about this in on the podcast with Roger and so on about the green certifications, that in reality they haven't caught up yet now to the quickly moving requirements on sustainability. They're playing catch up dramatically here now, and carbon's becoming the main focus point. And in some of the certifications, all you need to do is produce a carbon calculation to get your points. Yeah, you don't have to have a target. You just need to produce a calculation. And that's really not where the industry is anymore.